Hi guys, in this particular video we'll be learning about what cloud computing is, what are the advantages of cloud computing, services and models associated to your cloud. So let's create a scenario. Okay, let's say we have this person named John. Okay, now John wants to establish an organization. Okay, he wants to create his own organization. So there will be a list of resources that John will be requiring to establish a org. So if I ask you guys that if I say that okay that you have to establish your own organization, so what all resources you guys will be requiring? Okay, according to you, what all things you will be requiring to establish your organization? So let me know your thoughts in the comment. Okay, coming back to this particular scenario, like first important thing which your John will be requiring is your physical space. Okay, a physical space, a office where he can establish everything. Next is your employee, people who will be working at this particular space. Then we will be requiring some hardwares. Okay, now hardware can be with respect to your compute. Okay, like your laptops, right, your processing servers, all those sort of things, your networking, your cables, your networking device which will establish your network around your organization, and your storage. Okay, servers where we will be storing our data, your disk and all those sort of things. So these are the resources which I will be requiring with respect to your hardware part. Then comes your solution part. Of course, I will be requiring solutions. Now, in solutions, we can add your software, your operating systems, all those kind of things which are necessary over my hardware. Other than this, I can add your security also. Of course, if I'm creating a org, I need to provide security. So, according to me, these are your necessary resources. Okay, according to me, these are your necessary resources which we require if I want to establish an organization. Okay. Now, what John did, he created this particular list and he estimated the cost. Okay, that how much amount of money he will be requiring to get all these things. So let's say your estimated cost for this particular part is 400k. Estimated cost we are getting is 400k. Okay. So John, since I'm John's best friend, he came to me for this advice. Okay, that he told me that okay, yes, these are the resources I will be requiring to establish my own organization, and this is my estimated cost. Okay, that at least 400k I will be requiring to set my base. Now, since I am his best friend, I have to advise him in a good manner. So I told him that John, why don't you use resources from my data center? Okay, I have my own data center. Okay, I have my own data center. Here I have each and everything. Okay, I have a lot of servers over here. All the resources with respect to your hardware, your computing, networking, and storage part I'm having over this particular data center. Okay, so I advise John that why don't you use my resources and simply pay for the service? Okay, because if you are going to purchase a hardware, there will be a depreciation cost for sure. Okay, for example, a real time example to understand your depreciation part. Let's say we purchased a car today. Okay, we bought a car and we bought it for, let's say, cost is 100. Okay, we bought a car for your 100k. Now I need to add maintenance cost also. Okay, with this 100k over the years I have to maintain this car also. Okay, after 2 years, if I decide to sell this particular car, okay, there will be depreciation in the cost. The cost will go down. Okay, if I bought it for 100k, maybe after 2 years chances are there that I'm only getting 80k if I sell this particular. Okay, so I purchased this with 100k, and over the 2 years, let's say my maintenance is 20k. So in total, in 2 years I've spent 120k, and if I'm trying to sell this thing, I'm only getting 80k. So there is a depreciation in the cost with your 40k. Similarly, whenever we purchase any hardware, over the time there will be a depreciation cost for that. So this thing I explained to John, okay, and I told him that don't get your physical space, okay. What you can do, you can use my hardware resources from my data center and simply pay for the service. Okay, whatever duration you are using my resources, simply pay for that. Okay, this is what your cloud computing is. This is what your cloud computing is. So if I define cloud computing is nothing. It is your on-demand delivery of IT resources. Okay, when I say IT resources, everything which we require around our IT infrastructure over the internet. How John will be accessing my service? He will be accessing services from my data center over the internet. With this, what we will enable, what John will enable, faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. Now, faster innovation, since maintenance is up to me, I have to maintain each and everything that is present on my data center. Whatever resource is present on my data center, I have to maintain that thing. So, whenever John will be requesting for a service, that service will be up to date. Flexible resources, whatever resources I have over my data center, he can access any resource. Okay, let's say I have 100 resources, so at a single time he can access 100 resources. And economies of scale. Now, economies of scales means John is not paying for the maintenance part, John is not paying for the hardware part, he is only paying for the duration of service which he will be using over my data center. For example, if John is using my service, my data center for 1 month, so he will be only paying for that 1 month service. He won't have to pay for the overall cost of my hardware. Okay, so just like me, just like Yash, there are a lot of cloud providers where you can access these kind of services, where you can access your IT resources over the internet. So your top cloud service providers are, okay, your AWS, Amazon Web Service, your Azure, Microsoft Azure, GCP, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba Cloud, your IBM Cloud, okay, Oracle, Salesforce, SAP, VMware, like Space Cloud, right? There are lot of cloud service provider just like Yash, where you can simply access your IT resources over the internet. Okay. Now, when we were talking about your depreciation part and your hardware cost, so there are two terms through which we can understand this particular part. Okay, one we have your OPEX, other is your CAPEX. Okay. One we have is your OPEX. OPEX is your operational expenditure. Okay. OPEX is your operational expenditure. OPEX means you will only pay for the services which you are using. Okay, so we can say this is your pay as you go approach. Okay, for example, if I am using your Uber, okay, so what I will do, whatever distance I have traveled, I will only pay for that particular cost only. I won't pay for the car maintenance part, I won't pay for the car cost. If I am traveling 11 kilometers, I will only pay for the 11 kilometer cost. Okay, so that is your operational expenditure. So here we will have no depreciation. Okay, in OPEX there will be no depreciation. Next is your capital expenditure. This is your capex. This is your capex. Here you have to spend your money on your physical infrastructure. Okay, so if I'm paying for something physical, so for sure there will be depreciation over the time. My cost for that particular physical infrastructure or physical thing will reduce over the period of time. Okay, so these are two terms. So we can say your cloud computing is a OPEX service, pay as you go approach. And if John has decided to establish his own data center, his own organization, then it will be your capex. First, you have to spend your expenditure on your physical resources. Now let's discuss some of the advantages of your cloud computing. Okay, that why we should go for cloud computing. Okay, why I should not go for your physical infrastructure. I should instead go for your cloud. First is high availability. Okay. High availability basically means resources will be available to you for higher number of time. Okay, downtime of your resources will be very less. For example, let's say I'm using some resources over my data center, over my personal private data center. Okay, now let's say in case of disaster, if my data center goes down and if I don't have a proper backup, so resources will not be available to me. Okay, but in case of cloud, there are a lot of data centers, so there will be a proper backup system. Okay, so even if this particular data center is going down, what can happen, my services will be transferred to some other data center where I have my backup. So resources will be available to you for a very high amount of time. There will be very less downtime period. And this thing you can also see in your SLA agreements whenever you are accessing a service over your cloud, at what is the availability rate for that particular resource. Second is scalability. Okay, scalability means to scale something. Okay, to add something new over your network. Okay, For example, let's say right now my computer has a memory of 16 GB. Okay, but I want to use a software which require at least 32 GB. Okay, so what I have to do, I have to go to market, I have to get additional 16 GB and then add it to my system. Okay, it is a very time consuming process. Or other than that, what I can do, I have to purchase a new laptop which is having around 32 GB of memory. So both the processes are very costly and very time consuming. Instead, what I can do, I can simply go to cloud and one click I can add multiple resources, multiple services that are present over your cloud into my infrastructure, into my network. So you can scale multiple resources in just one click around your cloud. Okay, this is one of the biggest advantage over your cloud. Then we have your global reach. Wherever you have internet, you can access this particular service. Okay, then your predictive cost consideration. Okay, it means if I'm opting for a service, it will tell me the cost. Okay, that if you want to use the service for 1 month, this is what it will be costing you. Okay, whatever service is present over there, whatever resource is present over your cloud, if I am planning to use that thing, it will tell me the predictive cost, that okay, this particular resource or service will be costing you this much for this particular amount of time. Next is your security. Now security is a shared responsibility. Okay, security around your physical infrastructure, okay, or your physical hardware will be maintained by your cloud. Okay, and depending on the service that you are using, which we are going to discuss later on, it depends what all things you will be maintaining with respect to your security part. Okay, so security, we can say hardware security is mostly job of your cloud vendor. Okay, your cloud vendor will be responsible for maintaining that particular part, but other than that, your security becomes your shared part. Next is disaster recovery. Okay, disaster recovery means in case of disaster on this particular data center, I have a backup data center which will provide high availability to the resources that my customers are using. Okay, proper backup is present over your cloud at multiple different locations. Okay, so these are few of the advantages of your cloud computing, that why we should opt for your cloud part. In the starting, right after understanding this particular scenario, we got to know that the cloud is your pay as you go model, pay as you go approach. Okay, it's not a capex, it is your opex. Then we have your cloud models. Okay, basically there are three types of cloud models: public cloud, private cloud, and your hybrid cloud. Okay. Public cloud will be maintained and owned by a third party vendor, okay, or third party cloud service provider, just like this Yes data center. Okay, this is a public cloud. Anyone can access the services or resources which are present over this particular data center. Okay, so anything that is available to your public, that is your public cloud. So whatever resources and services will be available over here, anyone can access it. So we can say your network will also be your public. We are accessing your services through your public network. So this model is perfect for someone who is starting. Okay, just like your John, since he don't know that in future whether his organization will grow or not, right? whether he need to spend 400k or not. The public cloud model is best for him. Okay, so we can write few points over here. No capital expenditure to scale up. Okay, when I'm saying capital, again your physical expenditure. Second point we can add quick provision and deprovisions of your services and resources. Okay, your scaling and elasticity part. Provision to add something, deprovision to remove something. And third thing we can add, organizations pay only for what they use. Pay as you go approach. Okay, it's a pay as you go approach. This is your public cloud. Then we have your private cloud. Private, the word suggests something which is only for you. Okay, which is private to you, just like your mobile phones. Okay, you won't like it if someone is using your mobile phones. Just like that, private cloud will be something which is private to a particular organization. Okay, so we can say cloud environment which is created in organizations on-site data center or hosted by a third-party cloud service provider. For example, in this particular scenario, if John decided to create his own data center, that will be a private cloud to him. Or if John decided that I, Yash, will create a data center which is only dedicated to him, that will be a private data center. So mostly this type of model is used by your governments. Okay, when government want to establish their own cloud data center and they don't want that people should access that particular data center, so what they do, they go to a third party vendor and they tell them that they need a new data center for their services and the network should be private, only provided to them. So here we can add few things. If I'm talking with respect to your on-premises part, hardware must be purchased for startup and maintenance. Everything will be your responsibility, just like purchasing a car. Now here comes your security part. Security will be completely under my control because this is something private to me. I guess everything will be under your control. Over resources and security. So one more disadvantage of this is here your number of resources will be limited. Okay, in public cloud you will have n number of resources, whatever is available to your at your cloud service provider, you can access that. But since your private cloud is your own private thing, here the number of resources will be limited. Okay, so here your organization will be responsible for your updates and maintenance part with respect to hardware also. Hardware maintenance and updates. Then comes your hybrid cloud. Hybrid combination of public and private. Okay, so this is your most flexible one. right, this is your most flexible because it is again combination of your public and your private. So here you will have your own private cloud center, and but if you want to run some applications over public, you can do that. So we can write organizations determine where to run their applications. So what will be under organization control with respect to your security? So here we can say your organization can control your security part, your compliance part, or your legal requirements. Okay, these are your three cloud models. One more I can add, wait, one more I can add, that is your community cloud. Okay, community cloud means cloud which is belonging to a particular community. Okay, let's say I created a data center which is only available to security professionals, or I created a data center which is available only to your healthcare industry or your automotive industry. Okay, so a cloud which is only available to a community, that is your community cloud. Okay, so one more we can add in this particular text. So there are basically four cloud models: public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and community cloud. Public, which is available to everyone; private, which is private to you; hybrid, combination of public and private; and community model, which belongs to a particular community. Okay, so these are your four cloud models. Then at last we have your cloud services. Okay. Now when we say cloud services, there are basically three types of cloud services. Okay, there are three major cloud services: infrastructure as a service, which is called your IaaS; platform as a service, which is called your PaaS; and software as a service, which is for your endpoint user. Okay, so these are the three major ones. Now you might have heard of function as a service, security as a service, container as a service. These all are byproduct of these things. Okay, so majorly there are three cloud services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Now, what all things we require in a physical data center? Okay, if you have your own private data center, what all things you will be requiring? Okay, so let's write it over here. Right now we have discussed about your resources, we have your storage part. Okay, we have your networking part, we have your computing part. Okay, now other than this, you need a virtual machine, VM. Then you will be requiring some operating system which you want to run over that particular VM. Then over that you will be requiring some runtime, and over operating system you need some applications, and we will have your data associated to that particular application. Okay, now this is with respect to your on premises, your private cloud. So everything will be managed by your organization. Okay, everything will be managed by your user. So if I talk about infrastructure as a service, okay, if I talk about infrastructure as a service, so this is your built IT infrastructure by renting servers, virtual machines, your storage part, network part, and operating systems from your cloud providers as pay-as-you-go model. Okay, so if in this example, if John decide to host his organization over your data center, which is of Yash, so he will be requesting for infrastructure as a service. Okay, he will be requesting for your computing part, networking part, storage, and different solutions. So all of the hardware requirements will be managed by your Yash. So here we can write with respect to infrastructure as a service, what all things will be managed by Yash? Your computing part, or let's say your storage first, your networking part, your computing part. Okay. These all things with respect to your hardware will be managed by your Yash. Now over these things, whatever VM your John wants to host, okay, he will be responsible for that. So your VM will be your John's responsibility over your VM. Whatever operating system he wants, it will be his responsibility with respect to maintenance and updates. Your runtime environment will be John's responsibility. Your applications and your data, these all will be responsibility of your John. Okay, responsibility of your Yash will be computing, networking, and storage. Now let's understand this thing. Okay, let's try to remember this thing. Let's say you want to eat a pizza. Okay, you decided that you want to eat a pizza. If we are talking with respect to your private part, so in that scenario, if you are baking the pizza from the scratch, okay, you are creating your own toppings, your own spices, you're creating your cheese at home, you are creating your pizza dough at home, right? You are baking the pizza at home, everything from the scratch. If you're doing at your home, that is your private cloud. Okay, if you are creating something, if you're creating the pizza at your home, that is your private. Then with respect to infrastructure as a service, it will be take and bake. Okay. So here we can write made at home. Let's give it blue color. This will be your take and bake. I bought everything from the market and I baked the pizza at home, and then I ate that thing at my home. So this will be your take and bake. Then we have platform as a service. Okay. Platform as a service basically means that we are requiring a platform. We require a runtime environment for our applications to run. Okay, so this thing is basically used by your developers or your testers for developing, testing, or deploying different software applications under a managed underlying infrastructure. Okay, so services which will be responsibility of your Yash: storage, networking, computing, VM, operating system, and runtime. All of this will be responsibility of your Yash. As a user, what John wants, he wants to simply run his applications. He does not care about the underlying infrastructure. So will be your applications and your data. This thing is mostly being used by your developers and testers. So here with respect to pizza, we can write pizza delivery. I does not care that how my vendor is creating the pizza, how he is making, what all things he is using. I does not care about that. All I want that he should deliver a pizza to me and I will eat at my home. Okay, that is your pizza delivery part. So everything will be managed by your pizza vendor. All you will be doing is dining it at your home. That is platform as a service. Last is software as a service. Okay, software as a service. Here, what users will do, your user will connect and use your applications over the internet on subscription basis. For example, your Microsoft Office, your Google email, and your Gmail, your Office 365, your calendars, right? These kind of applications where we are only responsible for maintaining the data. Other than that, everything is maintained by your vendor. Okay, so here this is a endpoint service. Data is maintained by your user. Other than that, Yash will maintain everything. Applications. Okay, take example of your Gmail only. All the updates you are getting from your Google. Your storage is also with respect to your Google only. You are not storing anything on your mobile devices with respect to your emails. You don't know what is the runtime, what is the operating system on which your application is running. Okay, everything is maintained by your Google. All you want is Gmail should run on your device. So with respect to pizza, we can say this is your dining out. I'm going out. Let's say I'm going to Domino's for eating a pizza. So I'm not even using my home. I'm not even using my dining table. Everything will be provided by your Domino's, and I will only be responsible for eating that thing. That is your dining out. We can say this. Okay. So in short, if we have to write all the things with respect to these things, okay, these models, okay, infrastructure as a service, most flexible one, because everything will be under my control other than your resources part. It will be managed by me only. So we can write your user configure and manage. Who all will be using this thing? Your IT administrators. This thing we can write for your application. This is your infrastructure as a service. With respect to your platform as a service, here our focus is your application development. So your management for your platform will be handled by your cloud. Is handled by cloud provider. Who will be using this thing? Your developers. Developers use this. Then at last we have your software as a service. This is your pay-as-you-go pricing model. It's on subscription basis. For example, Netflix. You are paying for 1 month subscription and you can access all the things that are present over there of your Netflix service, Netflix cloud. So here we can write users pay for the software on subscription basis. And last is this is used by your end users. Okay, these are your cloud services. So this was all about your cloud computing. Okay, what cloud computing is, what are the models associated to your cloud, and what are your cloud providers, advantages of cloud, and your cloud services. Okay, services associated to your cloud. Now, one interesting thing, right? Now you might be thinking that why we should go for cloud. Netflix is hosted on your AWS. Okay, organization like Netflix that is hosted on your AWS. Your Disney Hotstar is hosted on your Azure. Your Google services are hosted on your GCP. Okay, so because of these advantages only, we are moving towards a cloud path. Hope you have enjoyed this particular video and let me know in the comments what are your thoughts with respect to your cloud.